So we walked into this place and it was called the Best Massage Spa. I just kind of had this crazy idea and basically told them, I was like, I need to my boyfriend, we need to get out. So they were in there for 10 minutes because I'm not gonna lie.
They were too aggressive.
They were too
aggressive. They were taking their clothes off.
I'm trying to think of what else. This was an idea that I had. I don't know why, but it came to me the whole night that I just needed to pretend that I wanted to. And we had to go with the story and we just kind of made it up as it went. We had to make it appear as though something happened, even though nothing happened.
Because I'm not gonna lie.
They were too aggressive.
Not gonna lie.
Even though nothing happened.
Not gonna lie.
All right, Tim Ballard, welcome once again back to the program. How are you?
Great, man. Thanks for having me back.
Good. So what do we got going on today?
Well, look, we're always careful, because you're in the middle of these lawsuits. So, but there's just some very compelling evidence that me and my team felt like people should see, because there's so much information and back and forth. And what does this mean? What's the couple's ruse? And we found this video that explains it very, very well. And it's not explained by me or one of my operators. Ironically enough, it's explained and justified and shown to be very successful by one of the very people who are suing me. Her name is Sasha Hightower. She is already self-identified. She's been on the media. She accused me of several things that didn't happen. Now, I'll set it up.
Before you set it up, I want to tell folks that if you remember the press conference, this is Sasha's the one that's in the one that's probably crying the most. I think she's wearing a jacket with a white shirt underneath, I believe.
She pounds her fist at one point and says, "This has got to stop."
Yeah, that's Sasha.
So I'm going to show you you're going to show your audience a very valuable piece of evidence and something that really clarifies what these terms mean. People hear a couple's ruse, that sounds bad in and of itself, and blah, blah, blah. And this video is so great because it's not, I've explained it 100 times. It makes the perfect sense, right? Basically, the whole point of it is so we don't have to have sex. If I sent my operator into one of these brothels or strip clubs to find kids, they would have to be credible, meaning if they were turning down sex offers, they're never going to get to the next level, which is, okay, we trust you enough to tell you about the kids. So the idea, which wasn't even born by me, actually my wife and I discussed it, like, how do you get in there and stay in there? Well, what if you had a blocker? So it's like, yeah, I would, but my girlfriend's here, right?
Right.
So we've explained this over and over again. Also, it's important to note that the majority of effective trafficking organizations use women as their main recruiters because women can convince kids, girls to do things, they have a way to do it better than men, generally speaking, right?
Right.
So those are the two reasons that we do this. Now, what's interesting about this case is I don't have to explain the details of why we do the couples tactic because Sasha does it for us. Now, she alleges all sorts of false things against me that happened. All those things that she alleged happened before the scene you're going to see here, because this is the debrief, okay? So we have just gone to this target location called the Best Massage, okay? And our goal is to get in there, have no sex with each other or any sexual contact with each other or with any person, and still come out with credibility to be able to talk to the big boss, whose name is Baby Ruth, and get the intel we need. Now you're going to hear Sasha herself explain how effective this is.
All right.
You're going to hear her explain how we utilize this tactic. how she ended up seeing videos of kids from 11 to 13 years old. Now, our job is to go in and we get this intel, and it was very successful. And I credit Sasha, even though she's, doing a lot of damage to me and my family right now. I credit her with doing an excellent job. She came down and did the paid contract job that she agreed to do. She did it almost flawlessly. And you're going to see how both of those unique elements that she brings to the table, one to block for me and me for her, and her getting information one-on-one from the female trafficker. I'm going to, as you watch this, I want you to consider something that happens later. We are basically volunteer informants, operators for the government. They know we're there. In fact, in the room, you're going to see, she's a former congresswoman, and she is there with her husband, who's our liaison with the government. So we're very much in connection with them. So what you can hear what they say. The other people in the room are operators, but you're going to look at Sasha. Now, we ended up getting the intel that she's telling you about. It's very valuable. I mean, we've identified children. Thanks again to Sasha. I'd say she did more to get it than I did. We get it to the police, and you'll hear the congresswoman there saying this might not happen right away because of some political issues, a governor assassination. So we knew this was going to be long term. So we turned this evidence over to the police, and they can call us a year later, 2 years later. I mean, I've had cases last 3-4 years, right? Because it turns out that the intelligence that we were getting back was that Baby Ruth had connections to other trafficking organizations or to her own in other parts of Mexico. So we were taking our time so we could rescue all the kids, not just the small group that she might have had available right then and there.
Right.
Okay. Now, when Sasha filed the lawsuit, she reveals details about this investigation, basically ruining it. And so I had to call the Mexican officials, so embarrassed that I'm so sorry that I brought someone that I believed was trustworthy and was about the cause and trying to save kids. It turns out that she instead has filed a lawsuit against me on false charges, because she's trying to shake us for money. That was not good news to the Mexican police, because now we had to make a decision. One, do we even go in? Because there's a good chance that Baby Ruth and her gang and her cartel, and we do have evidence that it's a cartel she's associated with, there's very good reason to believe that they might have seen this already. They've read the lawsuit. They know that who I am. They knew that they were being set up. There were some experts in this field that said, don't go, just walk away from those kids. But after contemplating and praying and talking, we said, no, we got to give it our best shot to at least get this piece of the cartel taken down and rescue the kids we can. Unfortunately, we knew that the minute that happened, any other connections around Mexico that had kids were going to scatter and we'll never rescue them. And so, thanks to this lawsuit and the information that Sasha put forth, absolute betrayal to our team, to me, to the Mexican government, and more importantly, to the children who will never be found because of this. But we made the decision. We went down. Very successful operation. I hope you include it in your podcast, the newscast. It was all over Mexico. We did get her. We did get the victims. The youngest was reported as 12 years old. We don't talk much about victims besides just certain things. It's a relatively fresh case because we had to get it done and organized and convince the Mexicans to take the risk, even though there had been this lawsuit. So it made all of our lives, it made the operation extremely risky. And I will forever regret that the decision that Sasha made to reveal details of an investigation that would have rescued more children. I will never forget those lost children. We'll never find them again. But we did get who we were able to get. Now let's focus back on that very first intel operation. And I don't need to say much. Just listen to Sasha. Okay, listen to what she says, how she explains through her words why it works, why the couple's tactic totally worked, how she got the intel, and eventually what led to the rescue of at least a fraction of the children that we otherwise would have rescued.
All right, let's take a look at that.
It was called the Best Massage Spa, and there was a younger male, 23, at the reception desk, and then a younger girl, and then an older lady. And they were in, and they were super happy, super friendly, really kind of like, what do you guys need? We can give you whatever you want. You want the special? Okay, we'll do the special. And all these things, asking all these questions. And we're asking them questions, and then, okay, so this whole thing happens. They start to go in, and they are trying to give a massage, and I just kind of had this crazy idea, and basically told them, I was like, I need to get out. So they were in there for 10 minutes, because I'm not gonna lie.
They were too aggressive.
They were too aggressive.
They started taking their clothes off.
They started taking their clothes off.
Like,
they were like massaging really close, and I was like, okay, I gotta get out of this stat. So I was like, what do I do? So I was like, my boyfriend like, can we watch? I'm like, no, just alone. Please get out. And like, he had to tell them because English wasn't the best.
Get out of here right now. You guys.
So they leave.
She's brilliant.
And then I'm like, what the hell do we do now?
Well, we had checked the cameras and
Yeah, we were like
we didn't have to. Like they close the door, just like.
I was like, what do we do now? Was that wrong? Should we not have done that?
They turned the music up really loud.
Yeah, they turned the music up really loud from the front. And so anyway, so literally like we were maybe alone for 5 minutes. It was fast. He got up and they were all outside waiting like, how was it? Whatever. And so as this is happening though, they called the boss, and it was a female. So she starts walking down the hall, and so we walk out and we go up to the front, and as we're sitting, he finds out that there's a camera in the front area, and she tries to say, oh no, it's not, it's just live, I'm not recording. I'm like, yeah, that's a lie. So we convinced her to go back to the massage room so that we could talk to her. And as we were talking with her, I don't know why, but she started kind of playing this card of, she's like, well, I have, because we were like, well, how, tell me about the girls that you have available for a party and all these things. And we were saying, we want them fresh, younger, fresh, whatever. And she goes, well, I have a picture of somebody, and he goes, well, how old? I'm not gonna tell you that age. And so I was like, see, she protects herself too. I'm like, I like this girl. So I started to kind of buddy up with her against you. And so she shows us this picture, really young, beautiful girl. And there was one swimsuit photo, one where she was fully clothed, but obviously just kind of provocative for the photo. And
Do you think she was pregnant?
I think she was 11 to 13 age.
It's very crazy.
Just based off of, So
she said she told us she wants to be a model.
Yes.
And she's coaching her, being her out.
Yeah. He was trying to get more intel of what the ages were. And then I don't know why, I covered his eyes and I whispered, how young can you get? Can you get like 11 or younger? And she's like, and so then I kind of went like this, like, I think we should do this with her. So then at that point, I kicked him out. I was like, I'm gonna talk to Baby Ruth here. But actually before that,
Baby Ruth, she calls herself Baby Ruth.
Before that we find her name, and this was when she divulges to us that a while back, she said, I have a crazy story for you. She says, a while back I had a ton of girls, we were going to this party, there was over 100 girls there, and but right before something happened, she didn't show up, and the police showed up. So she was the one that got away.
It was our operation 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And
oh my God, yeah.
Do you remember when I was in Mexico with you a couple of years ago?
Yes.
And it was the first time we met with the federal prosecutors.
Yes.
And they said, oh yeah, we worked with you guys in Puerto Vallarta. And they were talking about how the case was a little bit...
the one that was not good at the end?
Yeah, it wasn't good at the end. And I was like, yeah, it was a weird thing with another group that...
The one que nos contó Sarirene, que hubo falla, los que se hicieron pasar por OUR.
Pero sí era New York.
No, it wasn't your group, right?
We started with it, and then they did their own thing. So that's the... But the point is, she's the one that got away. She was taking her children to the party, but she got hung up, she got late. Someone called her, said, don't come, the police are here.
Oh my God.
She's like, I would have gone to jail.
Yeah.
And
they were telling you that?
Yes!
Yes.
And then 3 years later, she's like, I'm like, are you almost went to jail before? She's like, I know, but.
So then he starts to go, well, are we safe? Like, should we maybe not, So we started to kind of pull away a little bit. And that's when I was like, we're gonna have girl talk for a minute. And so he left, and I just kind of played this card of like, I really love him, and we're just trying to, do all these different things. And sometimes I get worried, and I'm so glad I can talk to you about it. And just kind of played that card. Got to know that she was like divorced, has 5 kids. She doesn't do anything with her kids. Her kids are like professional massage people. And but then she's like, but I have to make money somehow. And she's like, so this is what I do. And I told her, I said, well, how many girls can you get? She said, well, how many girls do you guys want? And that's when I was like, oh crap, what do I say? So I was like, well, can you get like 35, more or less, what? And so it depends on what he wants. And I say, well, I know that they're gonna want some younger girls. What's the age group? He said, well, I can get a lot of 18 to 26-year-olds, but if you want like the 13, 14, I can only get a couple of those. And I was like, well, I'll talk to JJ and see what he says. But I think we should do business together. And then we just talked about going to the gym and getting protein drinks and just being girl with girls, Okay. So that was what happened. We walked back out, and then that's when, I don't know.
The fact that she pulled out of, it's like about cheat. They're legit. When the minute it comes up, they're a picture already.
Yeah.
Boom. 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
13,
You could tell she was.
And then she already knew she almost went to jail before, and she's still gonna do it again. Yeah. She's like, oh, good thing I didn't go, but yeah, she didn't care.
Yes,
she's still gonna do it.
Even if she went to jail and they get out, they will still do it because it's easy money.
Yeah.
It's how she.
The only thing they know how to do it.
Yeah, she said her ex-husband's terrible, and this is how she makes money.
She lived in Seattle for a long time. She speaks perfect English too.
She said she was 36, and she just had to do this. So that's what happened there. We thought we had a lead today at the beach. He said he could get us 13, 14-year-olds, and then never showed to talk with us. So.
She's right down there.
Yeah, just right down, right over there. But so that's what happened there. So we got a lot of contacts, and now I think it's your turn, right?
It was a lot of
things.
Yeah, there was a lot.
A lot.
I didn't think it was gonna be so quick here.
And I'm thinking why Victor Hugo or why they didn't want to come to work here.
They told us because of the
Narcotráfico.
former governors.
But you have to be malpensado
Assassination.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
You have to be what?
O sea,
Paula said that you have to be like thinking in reverse always to not be so
naive, not to
so
be.
naive,
You have to be because in this business there's a lot of people involved.
Yeah, but they're talking about Victor Hugo. I don't think.
No.
Okay.
Not Victor Hugo. I'm only telling that here in Puerto Vallarta, this is one of the most, ¿cómo se dice?
Lucrative?
Yes, here. The friend that I told you yesterday told me, horrible. Acapulco, it's not worst because Acapulco hizo la Secretaría de Migración sobre el tema del tráfico. Acapulco, y ahí fue cuando los traficantes empezaron a dejar de traficar porque hicieron programas de prevención estatal. They make prevention, ¿cómo se dice más? Programas de prevención.
Prevention programs,
In the state. That's why
Acapulco,
in Guerrero, they start saying we have to stop trafficking, we have to stop sex with kids because they are working with the population about the problem. They stop doing that. Not all, right? But they start like, be careful. And that also start making them in Cancun. But here, they don't have any program for that.
Should I keep playing?
No, I think we're good.
Okay. So I see a completely different person, very not naive, assertive, fearless. These are some things that I was writing down. And, well, definitely the opposite of gullible and kind completely informed, not in the dark. Would you say that's correct?
Well, absolutely. That's the whole kind of irony here. This is someone who understood exactly what we were doing, why we were doing it, right? Like she said, like I had told her before, when they start to turn this into sex, and they will, that's when we have to make our move, right? And the move was pre-coordinated. It was, hey, we want to be alone here. Like, we don't want to have sex with you. We're going to just be alone and have sex with each other. That's kind of the whole point.
Right.
Right. But that gave us the credibility where they're like, these guys are nuts. These guys are sex crazed tourists. Let's call the boss, which is exactly what we wanted them to do. So the boss shows up and is like, who are these customers that are this crazy? Right.
Hormones raging.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it proves the model. It proves how it works. It also shows me and her, as we always are, with multiple teams, multiple arms. You know, they want to paint this picture like this is all about Tim just trying to, selfishly gratify himself.
Yeah.
What?
Or that you're off by yourself with her all the time. And like you guys just got on a plane, just you and her, and went to some foreign country to rescue children.
Right. And you saw the rest of the video. There's multiple targets, multiple operators out. We're utilizing this particular technique. And again, as I've said so often, the great irony of this case, if this was about me wanting to have sex, I would walk into those places by myself and I would justify, I've got to engage in sexual activity with prostitutes so that they believe me and so the kids can get rescued. And I know a lot of operators, and I know police officers, undercover operators I know, who have said, what are you doing? Why do you do all these rules? Just do it with your partner, and I'm like, no, because I have found a way where it's just as effective and you don't have to do it. That's the irony here, right? It would be so easy for me to get sex if that's what I wanted. I'm trying to avoid having sex, and Sasha does a better job than I could explaining exactly how it worked, right? The minute they started taking their clothes off, she boots them out. We sit inside there, pretend to do what we're doing. We get the credibility, we get the intel, and it ends up being a partially successful operation where we were able to rescue 14 victims at the end. It's just that, again, I can't emphasize enough. There are children, because of what Sasha did and these lawyers did, who will never be rescued, right. Ever. And everybody should know that. And I'm probably to blame for picking someone who to put trust into somebody who I didn't realize would ever betray children, betray my team, and betray the country of Mexico. There's another video that I want you to show that shows how creative she is. I know this is weird. I'm clearly frustrated at her actions, but I will always be honest and say she did an excellent job. She did an excellent job. In fact, she was so into it, by the way, maybe before I forget to say this, I think this was in May, this operation. In October of that same year, she showed up at our training, at our assessment, ready to learn more. I mean, so months had passed and she was still just like, it works. This is awesome. Something else happened in there that she, and again, I'm sorry to have to be so raw. Welcome to the world of child sex trafficking rescue, right? It's like, I'm not comfortable talking about these things in public. And it's so unfortunate that we have to, because kids are going to get hurt by it, but we have to defend ourselves now so that we can exist, right? So we're revealing tactics, and it's horrifying. This is a huge blow to the fight against child trafficking. But I will give her credit, to be even more convincing. While we were in the room for that 10 minutes, she said, "Hey, I got an idea." She says, "I have an abscess like in my tooth right now, and if I push and squeeze on it, blood will come out. So what if I squeeze some blood onto the sheets so that when we bring Baby Ruth back to the back room and she sees that, it'll be even more convincing, like, wow, these guys are crazy. Like, they had, a really good time back here, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, and I'll be honest, these are the little details that make a difference. When the traffickers start thinking, am I going to show you the picture of the 11, 12-year-old? And then they see something like that, and they're like, these guys are real. They're not working with the cops, right?
Right.
So later on that night, I believe, she did a smart thing. You know, if this thing ever went to trial or whatever came out and there was blood on the sheets, she made a video. I think it was like at 1 a.m, and she sent it to Matt Cooper, who runs all the logistics and he's kind of the main trainer. And he said, hey, just want you to know that if it ever comes up that there was blood on the sheets, let me show you how I put it there so everyone knows that nothing happened. And she squeezes the blood out of her tooth and shows the camera and then sends it to Matt Cooper. I think you should show the audience.
Let's do it. But I want to say something real quick. You know, I put out a lot of videos about you before I even met you. And one thing that people will say in the comments section and things that you've heard in the media is that there were never children rescued, that it was a ruse itself. But this also proves that as well. That's all you guys are discussing. You are working. You're at work. And that was the topic. So
Thank you for bringing that up. They want to paint a picture that it was just me and her going off on a sex cage vacation.
Right.
Or you see, there's multiple teams out. There's multiple players here. We got a congresswoman in the room liaisoning with the law enforcement. Like this is how all our operations go. And this particular operation, like I said, and I hope at some point in this podcast you'll show the news release. They were rescued. The youngest was 12 years old. Does anybody know a 12-year-old? Think of your 12-year-old granddaughter, your 12-year-old daughter. I mean, I got my girls are 14 and there's babies to me still, right? Picture that happened. That rescue happened. It was there's a press conference that the federal police did. We're still working on that case with them. Kids and trafficking victims were rescued on the operation that Sasha and I started. And the truth is, there was, of the people suing, only 3 of them, three of them actually went on operations. The other ones are making up these other stories that are just like out of the blue. 2 of those, and they can't deny it, 2 of them, every documentation you need to prove ended in rescues, arrests of traffickers, kids being liberated. And the other one was about to, but then Sound of Freedom came out and then we had to put pause on operations and then all this other stuff followed. And there's others too who are being silent right now, but there's others that are just like, what is happening? Other female operators who are like, I was with the team too when we used these tactics. And I'm not the only one who used those tactics. Others have come out and said, I used it. So you really do get a sense of this is a real operation with real police and real children. And I want to say this again, real children who, because of what Sasha did after the case, I don't know if someone convinced her or whatever happened, will never be rescued. They will live a life of hell that you can't believe because we had to cut this case short and go in and rescue those we could.
And you're still doing it now.
I'm not stopping. This just motivates me to do more. Are you kidding me? Look, to me, this is spiritual warfare. This is spiritual warfare.
Well, and I bring that up because people ask, well, what's he doing now? He's doing the same thing he was doing before. He's rescuing kids. When Catherine said, we don't care about the job, quit your job if you have to. If they did that back then, why would this stop them? Right? Why would nothing's going to stop you.
No, because it's spiritual warfare, Troy. I know this is an adversarial spiritual warfare attack. I've been shocked at the people that they've been able to, some of the good guys, I'll just leave it at that, who they were able, former friends and people who went against me or at least distanced themselves from me. I'm just like, why can't you guys see what's happening here? You think the adversary wants us rescuing God's children when everything right now in politics and in the world is everything's targeted at children. The children are the target of the adversary right now. So when you put roadblocks in my way, it doesn't make me stop. It motivates me more to fight harder. I mean, I've already, like you said, I quit my job as depicted in The Sound of Freedom. That was crazy. I mean, I could have lost everything. I mean, I'm in the same place right now. I could lose everything. But when you're in that place, what do? You keep fighting. So I'm more busy planning, coordinating, doing operations, than ever before. So we're not doing the couples tactic anymore, which is unfortunate. How many kids? It's so funny. Even in some of the filings, the women who make up these lies and they say, and kids were rescued and traffickers did get arrested. I mean, some of them even admit it. It's just like, but let's focus on this other stuff because and with this other stuff, I can make millions of dollars, whatever. So yeah, we're not stopping. You saw this is a snippet of a real operation. It happened. It worked. Sasha again did a terrific job. She was very, very creative. When we started the couples tactic, we used former law enforcement officers, but we had to abort missions all the time because we recognized that. And look, we're pioneers in this. There's no textbook, right?
Right.
There's no, like, for example, I'm a religious guy. We're part of the same religion. There's nothing in the handbook of instruction that says how to rescue God's children from rapists, right? Like, and so you're having to figure this out while at the same time keep your morals. It's very, very, very difficult. And so, but we forged ahead with it anyway. And like I said, Sasha did a superb job. We decided the law enforcement female officers, they weren't necessarily the best undercover operators. It doesn't go, just because you're a cop doesn't make you a good undercover operator. The best undercover operators I've worked with actually don't have law enforcement experience. They're people that can connect, sometimes salesmen, often actors. That should be no surprise. Actors improv, they know how to play a role. So that's why we started hiring people who were actors. Sasha's she's an actor by trade. So she did a phenomenal job. She got the intel, and I will credit her with, the fraction of the kids that we were able to rescue. And I will be so disappointed for the rest of my life for the part she did to play in many children not getting rescued.
Yeah,
it's a strange dichotomy, but that's where we're at.
All right, let's get this going here. Okay, so do you see that?
Yep.
This is the same person. This is Sasha, and this is her describing. Just to be advised, folks, I've watched this already. If you have a weak stomach, or you don't like the sight of blood, just giving you a little trigger warning there.
I want to say again, this was a smart move. A very smart move. The idea was very creative. I didn't know she had that ability. But again, I know from doing undercover work for 20 years, it's the little details that the traffickers have to make a decision at one point. Do I bring the kids out or do I not? Are these informants working with cops or are they really sex tourists? It's the little details that you throw in there that convince them, no, I'm going to trust that they are who they say they are. So it was a brilliant move, what she did. And it was a smart move that she documented it in case it ever came up, why there was blood on the sheets. And so she sent this video to document it.
All right, here we go.
Okay, so today is, I don't even know what day it is. It's the 7th at like 1:14 a.m. I'm here in PD. And I just wanted to make a video, because I feel like I should, to corroborate the fact that I can do this with my gums in. Okay, you can see. Okay. So I am able something's going wrong with my gums right now. So I was able to spit out blood to make it appear as though something had happened. So I just wanted to document that. Again, you can see there's nothing else in my mouth. Get the blood. I can't get it now, but you saw it just a second ago. Ugh. Sorry. But yeah, I just had to document it. I'm trying to think of what else. This was an idea that I had. I don't know why, but it came to me the whole night that I just needed to pretend that I wanted to. And we had to go with the story and we just kind of made it up as it went. I kind of tried to be buddy-buddy, tried to like kind of nudge and say, you know, oh yeah, maybe we need to get like a pill for that or whatever, you know. So yeah, it was a little crazy. Not my most favorite part, but we had to make it appear as though something happened, even though nothing happened. It was the only way to convince them that we were not cops, because she apparently has almost been caught before. So I'm gonna be quiet because I don't know if there's stuff in here, but just wanted to report that.
Wow. That's huge.
Let me ask you, what's your impression of this person? You spent quite some time with her on
Okay.
video.
All right. I'm going to tell you.
Her? Yeah.
She was the best. Well, if we're saying they're actresses, and then I didn't know she was a professional actress. That's even more telling. In the press, because I can say whatever I want. In the press conference, I saw Celeste is the first one with the hubby. He was pretending to cry. That wasn't very good. She wasn't good at that. The other ones, either way, people could take it or leave it. Am I going to believe them? I think it's a matter of choice. Sasha played it out. There's a time that if you go back and watch one of my videos, I mention she's crying the most, and then she turns to somebody off camera and smiles, smirks, while she's got tears in her eyes. You can see it if you watch it. I might even put it up here. And it is so clear that these women are smirking. I added this later. I wasn't going to, but as I'm reviewing some of the past clips of the women in the conferences, look, I know this is opinion. Okay. So just to play it safe, I'm going to play it safe and just give you my opinion. But have you ever been gathered with a group of your buddies or your friends, when you were a teenager, and that, and maybe I was just a bad kid. I don't know. But that, or let's say you're just trying to pull the wool over somebody's eyes. Maybe you're just having fun, right? But you're in a group like this, and you guys can't help. You guys can't keep a straight face. You just can't. And then when you hear somebody in the group lying, you guys are like, oh my gosh, I can't hold it in. Oh my gosh, did they just say that? That's what I'm seeing. I know this is my opinion, but I'm seeing that. So I've reversed the clips and then I forward the clip of the same thing over and over again as you just watch. Okay. Just watch. Anyway, I got to get back to the original video with Tim, but I thought I would just point this out. And then Sasha, the actress, teaching her friends maybe how to act. Maybe. Look, I'm not calling anybody wicked or righteous or anything like that, but this channel is about, we are most of my audience, 90% are from the Utah, Idaho area and are Latter-day Saints. So we do talk about the wicked telling on themselves. So I would say it's very telling. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy that is happening as we speak. I see a very good actress.
Yeah, that's why we hired them. And like I said, I'm grateful that she had that idea. I congratulate her on a job very, very well done. She was so excited. Like I said, months later, she showed up at the assessment. We were trying to, create more teams and do more training. And then unfortunately turned on us. But it's not even us. Again, I know I've repeated this and I'm going to end it by just saying this. It wasn't ultimately us that you betrayed. I can take it. I'm hoping to become a better person because of all this, trials.
Absolutely.
It's a country that she betrayed. And it's children that she betrayed. The very children that she went out and was so creative and so great. And she, I will credit her with the small rescue that no rescue small. Even if you just rescue one, it's huge. But I am 90% confident that other children would have been rescued had the investigation been able to run its actual course. And we would have been able to find the other rings connected to the Baby Ruth ring. And the only reason that didn't happen was because Sasha decided to tell her story and demand money. And that's very unfortunate. But look, there's so much, like Catherine said, I wish you could see all the evidence. If you knew what I knew, you'd have a very different opinion. But, after legal consideration and everything else, we decided this is one story worth telling. And it really explains why and how. And it is what it is. And we're continuing to fight. And I'm not going to stop fighting for these kids. When I'm in these trials and hearings, I'm fighting for kids. And people are going to say, why are you revealing tactics, Tim? Don't reveal tactics. Listen, there's very, very few groups out there doing what we're doing. So I have to reveal these tactics so that we can exist. We have to defend ourselves and take this loss, and it's ultimately the children's loss. We'll take these hits so that we can exist and continue. There's not very many people doing this work. And so again, that's another thing, is we're having to reveal these creative tactics that we'll probably never get to use again. But there you have it, Troy. I think that the best witness, the best guest you had on this show wasn't me. It was Sasha.
Well,
this was Sasha's interview, and you got to see right from the horse's mouth what happened.
Yeah, I didn't want to end. I wanted you to end, but I do want to say this. I want to add this. A very different person, two different people that you see in the press conference, who now, when you look at it and you look at this person who is the opposite of naivete, is in a role. She's in a role at the table at the press conference. That's my opinion. A completely opposite persona of the person that I saw here.
At some point, please show the press went crazy on this operation we did. It was just a few weeks ago, we had to move. That's as fast as we could move after the lawsuits came out. But show the press. You have to verify that Baby Ruth went down and rescues happened. So please include that in the podcast at some point.
All right. Thank you so much.